everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is October 10th, 2025, and I have a shocking and surprising figure for you concerning Lamine Yamal. Also, Hansi Flick has a new tactical plan, and I'm going to tell you what it is. And finally, Al-Khelaifi, all but confirming that Laporta and Barcelona will be abandoning Florentino Perez. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and welcome to Take 2. For those of you watching the first live, there was no sound. Thank you for letting me know that there was no sound. I'm glad I caught it even though I was literally done with the video. But here's Take 2. It looks like you guys can't hear me. If you're wondering why I'm doing a live this late, it's because I had an incredibly long day at work. I just finished, so I didn't have time to film, edit, and post. So instead, I'm doing this short live in order to update you on all Barcelona news. Of course, this is not a podcast, so I will not be reading the comments live, but this is just to update you. Now, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., I have a flight. I'm leaving for the weekend for work-related stuff. As always, when I travel, I'm going to take my camera with me, and I'm going to do short lives every day to keep you up to date. But I'll be back home Sunday night, so don't worry. This is a very, very short trip. All right, anyways, let's start with the news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if I asked you, who is the player that sells the most kits? Well, you could easily answer that by saying Lamine Yamal, right? Everybody knows that. Well, you wouldn't be wrong. You would be correct. However, check this number out because this was absolutely shocking when I came across it. Lamine Yamal sells about 80% of all Barcelona kits. That is absolute insanity. Again, we all knew that Lamine Yamal is the highest selling player when it comes to kits. But 80% of all Barcelona kits that have a player on the back have Lamine Yamal's name and number, the number 10, which is absolutely insane, which goes to show that not only is Lamine Yamal the best player in the world, but he is an absolute marketing machine. And the player is more than paying for himself. 80% of all kits. That's crazy. Again, we knew he was the highest selling player, but 80%? Whew, my goodness. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, Hansi Flick has a new tactical plan in order to stir the team back into the right path after those horrible defeats at the hands of PSG and Sevilla. Now, as I told you in a previous video, Hansi Flick has been holding a series of meetings to try to revert the situation. He's been meeting with his staff to discuss tactics. He's been meeting with the doctors to discuss injuries. He's been meeting with the physical trainers to see what's going on, why the players dropping in intensity. He's even been meeting with the players themselves, like players who haven't been performing well, to try to help them get out of their rut, like Ronald Araujo, for example. Well, in all this work that Hansi Flick has been doing in order to revert the situation, he has come up with a new tactical plan that he hopes to implement during after the FIFA international break is over. And that plan concerns Marcus Rashford. Now, what's the plan? The plan is Flick wants to use Rashford as Barcelona's new center forward, as the new number 9, because as far as Lewandowski, we all know he's going to have a more limited role during this season, given that he's 37 years old, and with the statements that he made, that he said last season a lot of times he was feeling tired, so he was looking for more quality minutes as opposed to quantity this season. So we know Lewandowski is going to be having a limited role. As far as Ferran Torres, we've seen that he's not really convincing in a starting role. He's great off the bench, but not really a starter. So Flick wants to use Marcus Rashford as the starting number 9. And of course, he wants to surround him with Lamine Yamal on the right, Coutinho on the left, and Fermin Lopez is going to be the starting attacking midfielder because, of course, Dani Olmo has also been performing pretty terribly. Now, why does Flick want to use Rashford? Because he believes that Rashford can re-energize Barcelona's attack. He has everything that Flick is looking for in a center forward. You know, he's fast, he's strong, he's mobile, he can dribble, he has great shot, he has great, sense for goal. killer instinct to score goals. He has all of that. And of course, Flick believes that Rashford can start helping with the high press or we try to recover the ball upon loss, right? Because we've seen our attack has been failing at doing that. And sometimes the midfield too, which leaves our defense completely exposed. So Flick planning to use Rashford as our new number 9. So if you see Rashford in that center forward position, don't be surprised. That's all part of Hansi Flick's plan to revert the situation so we don't look as terrible as we looked against Sevilla or even PSG. Now, speaking of PSG, we do have to talk about the ECA meeting. As I told you in yesterday's video, John Laporta attended the ECA or the European Club Association meeting or General Assembly, which is headed by PSG's president Al-Khelaifi. Seferin, UEFA's president, was also there. And this was one more step to try to confirm that Barcelona are looking to leave the Super League, right? There were starting reports to emerge that Barcelona were considering it. Then we saw Seferin and Al-Khelaifi at Montjuic during a PSG match with Laporta, all looking cozy. Then we saw Laporta attend the ECA General Assembly. And now, in another development that shows pretty much that Barcelona is leaving the Super League, Al-Khelaifi had the following to say. Now, during the ECA or the European Club Association General Assembly, Al-Khelaifi said, "Today, I welcome a special guest. Sometimes friends may disagree. That's normal. But they always come back together. They always come back together for the common good. This man has revived his club on the pitch with an amazing young team and off of it with a stunning new stadium. Please join me in welcoming back to the family." Welcoming back to the family, the president of FC Barcelona, Jean Laporta. So here, Al-Khelaifi all but confirming that, well, Barcelona will be leaving the Super League and joining the European Club Association or the ECA, which of course abandoning Florentino Perez and his project, because it was Florentino Perez's project to start the Super League. There were 12 founding clubs. They all withdrew except Barcelona. Barcelona stayed side by side with Real Madrid in that project. And how did Real Madrid repay us for standing side by side with them? The Negreira case, Real Madrid TV, all the refereeing videos, trying to control refereeing in Spain by meeting with the CTA and the Royal Spanish Football Federation on their own, even though all clubs had met with the Royal Spanish Football Federation as a group to try to fix it. You know, just backstabbing after backstabbing after backstabbing. And now Barcelona looking like they're going to be abandoning Florentino Perez, which I absolutely applaud this. Not because it's the right thing to do as far as marketing of both teams, but because of how Real Madrid have behaved. Because as I've always said, and this is something a lot of fans don't realize when they say, "Oh, we should leave La Liga," or "Oh, we will hopefully Real Madrid, ceases to exist." It's like, no, Barcelona and Real Madrid need each other. El Clásico match is the most watched match in the world. It's the biggest rivalry in the world. It benefits both Barcelona and Real Madrid to work together and do things together, because all that increases revenue, TV viewership, stadium attendance, merchandising, etc., etc., etc. But if that's how Real Madrid is gonna behave towards someone that stood next to them, well, then you know what? Florentino Perez, you can F off, you and your Super League project. All right, let's end today's video with some interesting statements from Wojciech Szczesny, who had spoken in an interview and said how Joan Garcia will become the best goalkeeper in the world. And now Szczesny had some statements about the other goalkeeper, Mark ter Stegen, and this is what the Polish said. "I don't think it's a pleasant situation. I was in the same situation with Juventus and decided to retire from football. I don't advise the same thing to Mark because he still has a lot to contribute to football, but I think sometimes in this job you have to accept that some decisions hurt you. It must be frustrating for him after being such an important player for so many years. But Mark is a very intelligent guy, and I think he understands. We spoke a lot this summer, and I think he understands. The most important thing for him now is to get back into shape because he missed the entire last year." So very interesting statements by Wojciech Szczesny, saying that, pretty much advising and nudging ter Stegen to leave, like saying, hey, you were an important player, but things like this happen in football. And, of course, following up the statements of Szczesny saying that Joan Garcia will become the best goalkeeper, this is kind of him saying, hey, look, man, you had a great time here. Your time is up. Joan Garcia's next. He's going to be the best, etc., etc. So kind of advising him, but also saying that he has spoken to Ter Stegen and he understands. Could this be a hint that Ter Stegen will be looking to leave on his own once he's fully recovered? I guess time will tell. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I'm going live again in a few moments because, again, it's very late for me to film, edit, and post. So I'm going live again. There's more news to cover. So I'll see you guys in our next live. Hopefully the next live will go without any hiccups and we'll have sound right away. I will see you guys in that video or in that live. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Biscarsa.